What's up guys, Technology Dude 117 here, and if you guys are not already following me on Twitter, please do not forget to do so. I will be posting the link to my Twitter account down in the description. Now today I am coming at you guys with my review of the PlayStation 3 exclusive JRPG Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch. Now it's been a while since we've been treated to a simple yet fantastic JRPG, and in a world surrounded by mature Western RPGs, we tend to forget the little guy. Enter Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch, a collaboration between renowned RPG developer Level 5 and none other than the internationally acclaimed Studio Ghibli. So does this dream team have what it takes to make a worthwhile JRPG? Let's find out, guys.
Whoa, what's all this, Anna? Curse lifted, is it? Tiny, I'm free!
Now before we get started with the review, it should be noted that I have not fully completed Ni no Kuni. The game is over 40 hours long, and I'm only about 18 hours into the game, but I feel as though I've played enough to give you guys my final verdict. So let's start off with the review with the story of the game. The star of the game is Oliver, a young boy from the fictional town in Motorville, USA. Oliver is just your average boy, until one day his mother dies for reasons I won't spoil here. Overcome with grief, Oliver begins to cry into a stuffed toy that his mother gave him. Oliver's tears bring the doll to life, and the doll introduces himself as Drippy, High Lord of the Fairies. Oliver is soon whisked away to Drippy's world, where he is declared as the pure-hearted one, the hero who has been prophesied to save the land from the evil and oppressive Dark Djinn Shadar. Now Oliver has another reason for traveling to Drippy's world other than to liberate it from Shadar. He's also traveling there in hopes of saving his mother. So Oliver and Drippy set out on this fantastic adventure, and along the way they are acquainted with a number of other characters. All the game's characters aren't too complex, but are all very likable and interesting in their own way. Each and every character is determined and always acts on the greater good of the world, and overall they're just genuinely good people. Now I'm really enjoying the story of Ni no Kuni so far. It's interesting and I'm always anxious to see what happens next. It's a story of discovery and camaraderie, and to put it simply, it's just great. Now what makes the story so good is not only the characters and the motives, but also the fantastic world that the game takes place in. The environments just complete the game, from exploring the open world to exploring the game's bustling cities. Every area is unique and interesting, and no two areas are alike. Ni no Kuni's story is a bunch of different elements combined into one overall fantastic plot, and Ni no Kuni easily has one of the best stories I've ever played in a JRPG, let alone a video game.
We did it!
Graphically, Ni no Kuni is spectacular. All the game's animations are done by the coveted Studio Ghibli, and they've done a fantastic job. Ni no Kuni is easily one of the best looking games I've ever played. From the beautiful open landscapes to the characters themselves, the unique Studio Ghibli animations shine. Ni no Kuni is by far the best looking JRPG I've ever played, and is definitely the best looking game of this year so far. Now, I only noticed two minor graphical glitches with Ni no Kuni, and that is screen tearing and poppin'. And I only noticed these two issues when I was exploring the game's massive open world. Now, with RPGs nowadays, we have pretty much come to expect that there will be a few graphical glitches. Now, that's the case with Ni no Kuni, so both of these glitches could really be ignored. I only noticed them in certain parts of the open world, and I never noticed them in any of the game's cities or enclosed spaces. So overall, Studio Ghibli has done a fantastic job animating the game. Now every now and then as you play the game, you're treated to a beautiful cutscene totally rendered in that unique Studio Ghibli style. Ni no Kuni is a beautiful game to look at, and players are in for a real treat. Now gameplay wise, the gameplay of Ni no Kuni is a fantastic mixture of real-time and turn-based elements, and it's just a lot of fun. The name of the game in Ni no Kuni is Random Encounters. Everywhere you go in the game, there's a chance of being attacked. Now I've really had a lot of fun with these random encounters. Every time you encounter enemies, you're pretty much guaranteed to encounter a new type of enemy. That's how many enemies there are in Ni no Kuni. Now, the random encounters are a great way to earn XP and coin, and some of the random encounters range from 100 XP to 25,000 XP. There is a huge amount of XP to be earned with these random encounters, and they're just a lot of fun. They happen a lot, and like I said, you hardly run across the same enemies twice. The variety of enemies is just spectacular in Ni no Kuni. Now, gameplay-wise, Ni no Kuni is pretty darn deep. There's a huge number of spells, provisions, and actions available to Oliver, and as you play, you continually unlock new spells and abilities. Now the game is riddled with boss battles, and each boss battle is sort of unique in its own way. Each boss has its own powers, moves, and abilities, And no two bosses are alike. Some bosses are bigger than others, some bosses are smaller than others, some bosses are more powerful than others. The boss battles are just unique, fun, and they're always sort of refreshing. They're never, similar. You always have to think when you're fighting a boss. You're never doing the same thing over and over again, so the boss battles never get repetitive, and they always keep you on your toes. Now, the game revolves around these creatures called familiars. Familiars are these Pokemon-esque creatures that you can capture in the wild, train, evolve, do all this kind of stuff with familiars, and it's really, really cool. Now, your familiars you can choose to fight for you in battle. Oliver gets his first familiar in the beginning of the game, and then from there on out, you can unlock a bunch of familiars, and you can have up to 300 familiars in the familiar retreat. Now, like I said, each familiar sort of has their own kind of unique abilities, and each one is aligned to a different thing. I don't really know what to say, but each one is aligned to a different sort of path, I guess. Some are aligned to the sun, some are aligned to the moon, some are aligned to plants. Each one has their own different sort of class, if you will. That's what I should have said, class. And all the familiars are unique. They all have their own unique names. They're all unique species. And there's so many familiars to collect in the game. And I can definitely see a lot of people becoming addicted to this whole familiar collecting, training, upgrading, all that kind of stuff. And like I said, the familiar system is great. It gets really deep. You can increase your familiars' familiarity levels by feeding them their favorite snacks. You can also feed them other snacks to get their different abilities up. There's a ton of different things to do for your familiars, and they can learn a bunch of different, moves and abilities and tricks. And it's just really cool, and I think a lot of people are going to have a great time with the familiar system. I am enjoying the familiar system, and it's just awesome. Now, later in the game, you learn alchemy, and alchemy is pretty deep as well. You can combine a bunch of different ingredients to create weapons, food, armor, all kinds of stuff you can create using alchemy. You can find recipes to create stuff, or you can just, create a bunch of different things. And there's a ton of ingredients in the game, and the limits are pretty much endless when it comes to alchemy. There's just a wide variety of things to do and things to create, and the alchemy can get fairly deep in the game. Now, like I said, there's a huge variety of enemies in the game, and you'll never run into the same enemy twice. You might every now and then, but there's a huge variety of enemies. There's over 300 different enemies in the game, so that's awesome. Now, like I said, as you play the game, Oliver learns a bunch of new spells, and his party members learn a bunch of new abilities. And as you play the game, you get more party members, more familiars, and all that kind of stuff. And as you play the game, you unlock new provisions. Provisions are things that could increase your health, your MP, all kinds of stuff like that. And it's just really, really cool. And overall, the gameplay of Ni no Kuni is just extremely deep, and it's fantastic. They've done a great job, Level 5. They have definitely not disappointed with the gameplay of Ni no Kuni. Now, sound-wise, all of the songs in the game are done by Joe Hisashi, the world-renowned Japanese conductor. He's done a spectacular job composing the songs for this game. Each and every song is fantastic, and sometimes when I'm done playing the game, I just keep singing the songs in my head. That's how great they are, and that's how just memorable the songs are. The soundtrack for the game is just overall spectacular, and Joe Hisashi has done a fantastic job. Now, the only complaint I have about the sound is the battle song. It's so repetitive. Every time you go into a battle, it's the same song over and over and over again. So it does get a bit repetitive, but like I said, other than that, the soundtrack for the game is fantastic. Voice acting is okay. The actors have a great script to work from, but it's a bunch of little kids doing the voice acting, so it's not that great, but the voice acting is alright for the parts that they do talk. Drippy sounds great, Oliver sounds great, the party members sound great, everything just sounds great, and overall the sound in the game is fantastic. So let's end off the review with the replayability of the game. Now, Ni no Kuni is a 40-hour RPG, and you can double that time if you go back and do everything in the game. There's a huge amount of side quests. There's over 100 side quests in the game. I know that's insane. There's so many to do, and they're all very varied and they're all very unique. So there's just so many side quests to do, and it makes coming back to the game fun, especially if you're a trophy hunter. There's also bounty hunts to do. There's 80 bounty hunts in the game, and each and every one gives you a different reward and more money. So if you're trying to get a lot of money, and if you're trying to get a lot of provisions, the bounty hunts are the way to go. And with so many to do, you'll just keep coming back, especially if you're a trophy hunter, like I said. Now, there's also the huge open world to explore. You know, even once you beat the game, I can guarantee you're going to have to come back to see more stuff, that there will be stuff that you have missed, stuff that you have to discover. You know, that's how big this world is, and the open world is just definitely worth coming back to. Now, there's also the familiars. You know, I'm sure a lot of people will want to capture as many familiars as possible, level them up all the way, you know, upgrade their familiars, get their familiars to the best they could possibly be. And, you know, I'm sure that the familiars, there's a huge variety of familiars in the game. There's over 300 familiars to capture, and I'm sure a lot of people will be coming back just for the familiars because of how many there are, and, you know, upgrading them and leveling them. It's just a lot of fun. It's very addictive, and that is definitely a big reason why people will come back. So replayability, Ni no Kuni is great for, and you definitely will be playing this game for the next couple months if you have it. So in the end, Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch is, to put it simply, incredible. It's a fantastic game with a brilliant cast of characters, an incredibly deep and vibrant world, beautiful sound design, and so much more. I can say with the utmost certainty that Ni no Kuni is one of the best JRPGs I have ever played, if not the best. Ni no Kuni is a game that begs to be experienced, and anyone who owns a PlayStation or holds JRPGs close to their heart should not miss this game. Now, if you guys enjoyed this review, please do not forget to comment, rate, favorite, and subscribe. Share this video with your friends on Facebook and Twitter. And thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed my review of Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch.